So now we're going to talk about the case feed and how it differs between Classic and Lightning Experience. And then also we're going to discuss the different case feed page layout assignment options. And we're going to look at Classic and Lightning Experience. And so I'm on a sample case here in Salesforce Classic. And we've got here the highlights panel here at the top with the customer information, the case information, the status information of the case, the feed filters on the side, all of which you may hear about on the exam. And so you want to keep in mind that this section here at the top is the highlights panel. And if you recall, if we go into edit layout, which I'll do real quick, that is accessible through the top here in the page layout editor. It's called highlights panel, and you adjust this by clicking this wrench icon. Let me go back to the case though and not do any edits on that and close down that force.com menu that slides out. These feed filters, you can filter the feed and a case feed by these different options on these filters here in order to show just specific things related to this case if there's updates. And so here's all emails related to this, or you can say all updates, which there's only been a few here. And then as well, other things accessible from within the case. You can follow records, for example, and you can add topics to a case. And those might be certain questions related to chatter specific functionality as it relates to cases on the Service Cloud exam. And then I wanted to also look at this case though from a Lightning Experience perspective. And really, since the advent of Lightning a few years ago, you now have to know a lot more in order to serve as an effective consultant or developer or administrator on the platform, because you've got to be thinking about the design considerations for both Classic and Lightning Experience. So it's like supporting multiple platforms. Even though it is one Salesforce platform, there's different user experiences available. So here in Lightning Experience, I'm not inside the console. This is just inside of the service application in Lightning, which is not a console application. And so if I were to go to cases, for example, I've got my standard list view. And then as well, another cool thing you can do here is do like a Kanban. Now these are different record types here for these different cases, so I can't pull them all in, but let me select something different here and show you just this Kanban real quick. And so the idea with the Kanban is you can have your cases listed segmented by origin. And so here are the different interaction channels, for instance, as far as phone, email, and web. These are case origin. And there's other interaction channels that we need to add case origins for in order to correspond with those different interaction channels. But what you could do is you can drag and drop this in order to update this record here. And so now case number 1002, for example, now has a case origin of email. And so we can click on this and see, if we click on the details tab and scroll down, I've got my details down here on the bottom. We got our case origin is now email. So if I go back to the cases tab to go back to that list view of the DOE cases here, I can move this over and make the case origin that of phone instead. So the Kanban list view is a really cool thing you can do with cases and opportunities and leads and any sort of record that tends to lend itself to this sort of functionality. But if we go back to our case 1032 and compare it to the Salesforce Classic display, we've got our feed here and our different actions that we looked at previously, such as post, log a column, poll. And if you remember, we added actions in Classic. We have a lot more actions here in Classic than we do Lightning Experience. If you recall, we added the email action, and then other ones that we have available are poll, link, and file. Now what we could do is, in order to add those actions to Lightning Experience, we just have post, log a column, poll here. So I'm going to go back in Classic and just edit this layout real quick. I find this easier to do. There's still things that to me are just easier to do in Classic than in Lightning. And so in editing this page layout, if I select mobile and Lightning actions, I can scroll down here and drag this particular email action down. And then I could do other things, like I could add actions, for instance, to add a new contact record from inside the quick actions in Lightning Experience. I don't know that I would necessarily want to do that, but I'm going to click save just for grins. And then if we go back to our Lightning Experience and refresh this page, you see now that I have additional actions here. I have the email action inside of Lightning now, and I have the new contact from inside of here. So the way that these behave is you can select new contact, and right here inside of the publisher, these quick actions. You can create a new contact record without leaving this other case record. It's very handy. Or send an email. And here's the example of the email functionality inside of Lightning Experience. So the point of all this is that in the design consideration, you've got to think about Classic, you got to think about Lightning, and oh, by the way, you have to think about mobile as well in the Salesforce mobile app. There's not so much on mobile on the exam, and that's because Lightning and mobile are kind of combined together. If you recall, in this page layout editor, in the edit layout, we've got only two options, and that's either Classic. The other option, and here's the quick actions in Salesforce Classic. The other option is Salesforce Mobile and Lightning Experience actions. They've not separated this out into three different sections. So mobile and Lightning Experience kind of go hand in hand as far as the design considerations go. So now we've got our page layout customizations for Classic, and we also have our customizations for Lightning. Now we can go into page layout assignments as well, but before I do that, what I would like to do is show you one other type of page layout. And so these Lightning record pages, now these are specific to Salesforce Lightning. I've got a couple of case record pages here. And when you think about case page layouts and page layout assignments, you typically think about this. This would be the traditional case page layout, and you click here for page layout assignments. And on the Classic side of this, if you go into setup, for example, and look at the case layout, or specifically if you look at, let's just go ahead and go to customize cases and then page layouts. So it is here that you have your case page layout assignments, and you can see the different case page layouts and case close page layouts in Classic. And then in Lightning Experience, you have your case page layouts, and then you got to go here to go to your case close page layouts. And then for the page layout assignments, you access these by clicking page layout assignment, and this gives you the grid view across all the profiles here, and then all the record types for your cases here. Now we've got our master, our chat, our email, and our mobile. These are our different interaction channels, which are actually our different record types on cases. And then we have three more if we click next for social, telephony, and web as well. And so you can edit the assignments. You should be familiar with this based on your experience passing the admin exam if you've already passed that. And so you can click to highlight the different page layout assignments you would like to make and select what page layout you would like to assign based on profile and record type. And you notice now that these are italicized, and just simply click Save to change those layout assignments there. And you'll see if I click Next, you'll see those two changes that I made. It's thinking about it. Here they are right here, this one and this one. So as you're thinking about the case feed and the functionality that you provide and the actions that you provide, you will also want to address which profiles are assigned which page layouts. And that's for Classic and Lightning Experience. And then in Classic here, it's the same sort of functionality. You click on page layout assignment, and this is for open cases or those that are not closed. And it's the same type of view here, and you'll recognize this from, it's the same thing as here. And really they've embedded some Classic layout inside of Lightning here, and here is Classic in the Classic interface. Now, one other thing, and we'll be getting into case closure in the next section of the course, because that deals more with case management and solutioning the whole closure behavior and case resolution. But you do have page layouts that you can assign based on different case close page layouts. And so I'll look at this briefly before we move on. And as you close a case, you will want to prompt the user to update the status and give a reason, for example, and there's other fields available that you can provide. So let me cancel out of this though. We'll get into the case closure stuff later. And then one thing I'd like to do though, before we finish out and round out this entire section, because we're getting ready to get into the helpful practice activities through some suggested trailhead exercises and then a section level quiz before we get into the next section around case management, or the next knowledge area around case management. I do feel like I need to set the case origins to match the different record types because we've not filled all those in. And so we see that we have chat, email, and mobile across here at the top. And then if we click on next, the other record types we have are social, telephony, and web. And so I'm going to leave this up as reference and then pop over into the Lightning side of things. And in setup, or actually I've got the case object open here in this tab. So I'm going to go to the fields and relationships link here on the left, and for case origin I'm going to click on that pick list, and we see we just have the 3 values of phone, email, and web. And so for sake of completeness, it's a good idea a lot of times to have all this match up and sync up between case origin and your different interaction channels as represented by your case record types as well. So for phone, I'm going to leave that alone. I could have that be telephony. I feel like that's not as user-friendly, so I'm just going to leave that case origin selection as phone, but I'm going to click new. I'm going to add the 3 other values that we're missing, and actually here's the good reference point for our different record types. And so we did not have a case origin selection for chat, nor did we have one for mobile. And then finally, we didn't have one either for social. And so I could add all these all at once, but then I can't select which one to correspond with which record type. So I'm just going to actually do these one at a time. So I'm going to add the chat case origin selection. I'm going to add that to the chat record type. And so then next I'm going to click new once again and enter mobile. And then I'm going to select mobile for the record type. And that's the record type of mobile record type on cases. And then finally, I'm going to enter in social and select the social record type and click save. And so now we've got corresponding case origin pick list values for all our different interaction channels. And so now we're ready to move on and round out this particular section of the course. Great job making it through this far. I know this was the largest section of the course, and then we covered a lot of new things for you, a lot of complex things, a lot of things that you may need to revisit. And so I do encourage you to go through at least some of these trailhead exercises. It's optional, it's not required, but the more hands-on experience you can get in your own org, applying what you've just learned in your own Salesforce instance, that will help solidify your understanding and improve your odds of passing the exam the first time. And so we're going to go through those trailhead exercises in the next lecture and then round out this section with a quiz. And then I'll see you on the other side in the next section as we get into case management.